What's up again, everybody? This is game number 2 of this Jubilee combo team. It's been a while since I've uploaded the first one, but, you know, Christmas happens. So my opponent chooses to go first. He buys up a Yawn Tea and then resurrects 1 die over into prep area. Just a reminder, if you have not watched the first one, he's looking to get out Yawn Tea and then play a bunch of action dice, make her unblockable, attach some stuff to her, and just hit me in the face. So I'm going to feel the sidekick here, and I'm going to buy a Mimic because you need that sidekick for the Mimic ramp. You need to target that sidekick so that you can get the sidekicks in the field and start ramping some stuff up. My opponent reloads his bag, draws 1 more die, pulls a sidekick. He had the small chance, I think it's a 1 in 5, of pulling the Yawn Tea on that turn by rezzing on turn 1, or rezzing on turn 1, and did not hit the 20%er, so he's rolled up, choosing what to re-roll. It's a pretty good roll for him. He's going to buy a second Yawn Tea, and he's going to pick up a Pseudo Dragon, fielding a sidekick and jumping on back over to me. No attacks with said sidekick. So he's got 2 Yawn Teas and a Pseudo Dragon set up and ready to go. Well, 1 will come out next turn, and then he'll have a Pseudo Dragon and Yawn Tea sitting in the bag after that, as well as some other sidekick dice. So rolling 4 for me, I've got a decent roll here as well. I could pull a sidekick from my used. If I do that, then 3 go into the bag after rezzing, and I have a chance of pulling whatever I buy. If I buy first and then res, then I get to prep exactly 4 dice for next turn. I say prep, but guarantee exactly 4 dice for next turn. So I have to buy a 2-drop in order to do that. I would pay the mask to feel the sidekick. I would buy something for 2, probably a Jubilee. So that's going to come out as a sidekick. I would imagine I'd pick up like a Jubilee here. Yeah, that looks right. Picking up a Jubilee for 2 and then rezzing that stuff into the bag. 1 will come out. I will pull those other 3 next turn as well as a sidekick. No attacks from those 2 sidekicks as well. So he's got his Yawn Tea plus 3. Rolls up his dice. He's got 5 energy. Yawn Tea on the roll comes up as 2 bolts. So now that he's got a Yawn Tea that he's rolling here, he's obviously going to re-roll it and look for the character face, and it comes up character face. His goal here is to pick up an action die like True Believer, I would imagine, or really ramp is really good, and that's what he does. He ends up picking up a Pseudo Dragon, increasing his odds of drawing 1 next turn. He's looking at 10 dice going into the bag, I believe. So 2 out of 10 is pretty decent, especially when you get a 2 out of 10 plus a 2 out of 9 plus a 2 out of 8 plus a 2 out of 7. So chances are he will see one of those Pseudo Dragons. Here we have Jubilee rolling up. Really the most important thing at this point is to land a sidekick and a Mimic. Mimic is the most important, but landing a sidekick as well would be good. Jubilee's not that important at this point. Getting her in the field, though, is pretty decent. So saving a question mark is probably best. Scooping the other 2, because we want at least 1 sidekick and the Mimic to come up. We're going to need 1 energy to field the Mimic. And it looks like we get the Mimic to come up, but no sidekick. So we're definitely going to field the Mimic. Copy the stats of the 1/1. Sidekick. And then we're going to pay to field the Jubilee, and looks like we're going to not do anything with that or res. Let's see, I think we're going to res. I think we've got 1 in the bag. Those will move down to used at the end of the turn, and we'll pop back over and see what we got from the pull. The 2 and 10, let's see what we get. So far, no damage dealt. Ooh, that's a pretty decent pull. Yawn Tea and 1 Pseudo Dragon as well as 2 sidekick dice. Pseudo Dragon comes up. Yawn Tea comes up as well. So he's going to be able to ramp, or actually it's just draw and roll, I think. Draw and roll 2 dice when he fields the Yawn Tea and then fields the Pseudo Dragon. That's pretty good. Now, the double-edged sword of drawing and... Ooh, camera movement. Double-edged sword of drawing and rolling, and not just drawing and prepping, is that if you miss on a character face, then you have to wait for it to go all the way back through the bag. So, but it looks like it's 2 sidekicks, so it's just some free energy with which he will probably ramp and just let the fist float. I think that's what I would do. Ramp it out. He's going to pick up a Cosmic Cube. allowing him to buy his action dice for cheaper, which is pretty good for getting those Holy Avengers, which is your win condition on that team. Holy Avenger plus Yuan-Ti means a lot of damage. So I'm rolling 5 this turn, looking for some sidekicks and some stuff to buy, basically. You know, buying a Lady Deadpool here is not terrible, and neither is picking up one of those with great powers. That's not bad either. I could buy something for 4 and then ramp it. Looking in the bag, looks like we've got 2 sidekicks in the bag, and that's about it. Really, we need a sidekick. That'd be good too. There's a couple of lines that you could take depending on what you want to get out. If you want to keep putting together the puzzle, as it were, you could just kill the ramp for a moment and buy the Lady Deadpool. You could pay 3. Looks like we're going for a sidekick route. Wow, you could buy anything with this hand. This is a pretty good roll-up. So the question becomes, do we want to drop the ramp and buy a Lady Deadpool? Do we want to spend 3 and then res to pick up one of those with great powers, which at this point won't do much because we also don't have a cube to pair with it. It would only deal 1 damage based on the Jubilee that is in the field. There's a couple of lines of play. Thinking about what our next few turns are going to look like. We have not fielded a sidekick, and so at max we're rolling another 5 dice next turn, and they're all sidekicks based on, unless we buy something here, which of course we will do. So we have a chance of rolling what we have next turn, what we purchase this turn, next turn. So if we're rolling something next turn, what do we want to be rolling? Do we want to be rolling a cube? Do we want to be rolling with great power? And the answer, I think the best answer is we want to be rolling a Lady Deadpool. We don't ramp, and so we have 2 dice plus, 2 pulls, which is a 1 in 6 and a 1 in 5 to get the Lady Deadpool next turn. So killing the ramp in order to get that is probably the best play, because those other dice don't do much except maybe allow us to get 6 energy and then buy a Lady Deadpool and ramp 1, which is a little slower. So another pseudo dragon comes right out and rolls. He's going to be able to draw and roll 2 more dice, which is really, really good. It would probably be good for him to pick up another pseudo dragon just to keep the ramp going, or to at least attack with those, because it's a wind-fielded ability, and wind-fielded abilities usually want to be triggered. And in order to trigger a wind-fielded ability, you have to field the die. So pushing for some damage, or at least just some KOs, would be good. Here the Cosmic Cube comes up as energy, which is kind of unfortunate, but at the same time he doesn't have a lot of energy to do, to make any purchases anyway. So it coming up as a cube is probably worse. 2 bolts may actually be better, because you can actually buy something. Unfortunately, he does not have a mask, and so he cannot pick up another pseudo dragon, which would probably be the best buy here. Instead, let's see what he goes for. He could pick up, let's see. I think he could pick up a Boom Boom.
I think I will buy a True Believer for 2.
True Believer is a great buy. Looks like he picks up a True Believer. Reses once. And that bolt looks like it'll just float. I'd like to see a push here. Let's see if he pushes. At the very least, you want to push with both of your pseudo dragons. You're not really worried about me attacking, on a backswing or anything. You want to get those things KO'd so you can prep or draw and roll 2 more dice. Excuse me, not prep. So 1 comes out of the bag. And 3 sidekicks come out of the bag, so we miss the Lady Deadpool, but that's okay. If our opponent is giving us time to set ourselves up, then we will gladly take the time to kill our ramp and pick up the Lady Deadpool. It worked in game 1, so let's see if it works in game 2. Sidekick is great here because that's going to ramp us 2. 3 energy would be a fine keep to pick up the with great power. Wow, 3 shields. does nothing because we wanted to buy the Cosmic Cube. So isn't interesting. Maybe we were rolling for another sidekick.
Yeah.
But we end up hitting 3 shields, which is really terrible. Probably wanted to keep that bolt that we had on the first roll, just so that we could buy a cube here.
Yeah.
At the very least, we can buy a with great power. And it looks like that's exactly what we'll do, which is fine because that's the exact amount of energy that we have and need for that purchase.
All right.
Passing the turn because, of course, my job is not to attack, it's just to direct damage the face.
The cube comes back out. We'll see.
He's going to draw and roll, and he hits the cube, which is great for him. He's going to want to roll that as a cube and then use the 4 energy that he has to pick up something like True Believer and Holy Avenger. See if that pays off for him. Oh no, the Dice Masters thing happens. You get 2 bolts, you try to get the action face, and then you get 1 bolt. That is a frustrating feeling. So with 5 energy, he can still buy a Holy Avenger. He can still buy something like a Boom Boom. He could buy an unblockable Kitty Pryde. He could buy another Cosmic Cube, though I'm not sure that would be the best purchase. Looks like he's going to just straight hard buy a Holy Avenger. At this point, you kind of do need to get that into play. It's important to actually set up your win condition. Both True Believer and Holy Avenger make good win conditions, attaching to Yontis. So 1 comes out of the bag, all that goes in, and let's see what we pull here. We get it with great power. The cube is necessary to make this combo really go crazy. We get both of these to land. That's not a bad roll whatsoever. We have 1 to pay to field. We've got 2 to buy a cube. We've got the spin up trigger. So we've got a lot of good stuff here. So buying a cube is a good play because it's going to get that cycling, and we're definitely going to ramp some stuff. We want to buy first here because we're going to field the sidekick second, therefore pulling some dice out of the bag. Actually, it won't probably matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, well, there's only 1 die in the bag, though. So yeah, it will matter. Whatever we buy gets pulled next turn. We're going to buy a second Jubilee. We do need multiple Jubilees. That is true. So that will ramp over because there's nothing in the bag. That was our 8th and final sidekick sitting there in the bag. We're obviously going to play out the Lady Deadpool and then use with great power, even though it will only deal 1 damage. We're going to flip that to a bolt so we can use it twice. That's very interesting. Actually spin her down so we can spin her up. So flipping one of the sidekicks to a bolt. Paying the bolt to spin our Jubilee down just to keep her on her level 2 side, instead of allowing her to move up to her level 3 side, just in case we need to do that again next turn. Hedges around staying on a level 3 and then landing a level 3 and then not being able to use anything. Alright, so we've got, over on this end, we've got the cube coming back out. Hopefully it rolls this time. Oh no, it's still a double bolt. Got a sidekick. We have 2 trigger. No, we have 1 Holy Avenger. The cyan die is True Believer, and that has not come up. Well, at least the cube comes up this time. 3rd time was indeed the charm. But but he has nothing to pay with outside of the Holy Avenger, which is enough. So he spins the sidekick to a bolt. He's going to be able to buy something for 1 and then something for, I guess it's 3 less, so 1 again. If he buys the Holy Avenger second, which I imagine he would.
And let's do...
So using the cube, and he's stating that right now, using the cube, he's going to pay a bolt and buy a True Believer, and then he's going to pay the, what do you call it? Why can't I think? The 2 generic, excuse me, the 2 generic to Holy Avenger, to pick up a Holy Avenger, and that's going to ping me for 1, I believe.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Well, I'll just...
Because the attune triggers off of the Yuan-Ti Pureblood.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
So I am down to 19 because of the cube play, and there it is. That is the cube play. Yep.
Keep forgetting to move that over to trigger.
And then I will drop to an additional 18, or I will drop one more to 18. That would be crazy if you play 1 action die and it kills me down to 18. Drops me 18 points. So he's going to use the Holy Avenger, and I imagine he'd attach it and then just attack. So that's going to hit me for the attune plus the unblockable damage from the Yuan-Ti that he attaches it to.
All right. And then
So we have the play and
I'm going to
the
attach
attachment.
Holy Avenger to one of them.
It's kind of like an equip, or it does. I think it says equip on it actually.
On black.
He's going to push with both too, so that's going to bring me down a sizable amount. I think that's a. Is that the 1-3-1 side and the 1-3-1 side as well, plus the damage from Holy Avenger is going to drop me down to 9. Now, what we do have looking forward to, I guess, after dropping down to 9, we can at least look forward to his bag being a little bit more full, which is good because he does that one more time and we are dead. So a really, really strong swing, and the team finally comes together on that end. Jubilee, we want to roll up here, and with great power would be good to at least trigger twice if we can. We pay some energy to spin both of those down if Jubilee doesn't come up on the level 2 or level 1 side. If she shows up on level 3, then we've got to pay some energy to bring that down. Buying a cube is really a necessity at this point. Gonna certainly want to buy a cube. It might even just be worth re-rolling the with great power, skipping out on the damage, and using the 2 generic side in combination with some of these energies to pick up 2 cubes. Oh no, the Dice Masters thing happens again. 2 bolts go to 1 bolt. So we're going to pay 2 here for a cube, and then probably pay 2 again for a cube and field a sidekick to ramp twice. Yes, double pay for 2 cube. No, a cube and a Jubilee. A cube and Jubilee. I wonder if 2 cubes is better than a cube and a Jubilee. Probably doesn't really matter. Putting more characters in the field doesn't do much because we can't block his unblockable stuff anyway. Cube comes out, we've guaranteed that we roll another Jubilee next turn, and we'll probably just use with great power here to spin up the Jubilee and deal 1 more damage. We dealt 1 from the first trigger. We're going to deal 1 for the second trigger. That will spin up. The other character dice cannot spin up, I believe. I think we are topped out on those other ones. Funnily enough, you still have to spin up the Mimic die because it is on its level 3, even though it's copying the 1-1 stats. It's a little interesting that the spin up is important even though the stats on the third side don't actually matter at all. So 3 energy and 1 sidekick on his end of things. He's going to have a very full bag, which means he's going to have to do some searching to get back to the Yuan-Tis and the combo. He's got so many action dice. I think he has bought every single basic action die on his side. All 3 Holy Avengers, all 3 True Believers. Man, that's some stuff. So he's flipping the sidekick to a bolt. He's buying 2 more dice. He's buying, man, that is a heavy bag. He's buying 2 boom booms. So to just try and power out some damage, and the boom boom buy isn't even that bad because you have that many action dice. You know, it does clog your bag even more. Ramp would probably be better, especially attacking with those pseudo dragons would be good because you want to ramp those dice. But it's not even that bad picking up 2 boom booms because you hit one of those boom booms and you hit an action die and then you're dealing more damage. You're only really buying outside of the Cosmic Cube, you're only really buying basic actions, and so Boom Boom triggers off of that, which is great. Hey, Jubilee and Cube both roll up, but the Cube's not going to do anything if With Great Power doesn't come up as well, and we're going to want to re-roll the second Jubilee. So there's a bit of a danger here of the With Great Power not coming up, then Cube is redundant, pointless. We're going to not re-roll the second Jubilee. That doesn't make any sense. I know we need the energy for paying for them, but we can always spin a sidekick down to a bolt. So it makes sense to just, it might even make sense to just scoop the energy Jubilee and both sidekicks and the With Great Power because we have some options on fielding, and unless we hit 2 sidekicks and you know both character faces that we have to pay for, then I mean that's the only line that gives us issues. So it's probably better to just scoop all of those. Yeah, and that seems to be the right play. There's only one line that injures us, that hurts. And again, the redundancy of the cube, or the pointlessness of the cube, comes into play here. Going to use the generic to field both of those sidekick, or both of those Jubilees. Fielding a sidekick is great, but it doesn't really do that much. It means we roll 6 dice next turn, so I guess that's good. Rolling dice is fun. So gonna field the sidekick. That's gonna prep us too. The cube is not gonna do anything, sadly. We can spin down our Jubilees, and that would probably be best, is to just pay 2 energy to spin down Jubilees, or just buy a second cube. We want to stack up the cubes for next turn. In the bag, we have sitting 1 sidekick die, so these 4 dice plus the purchase will go into the bag. Use the cube for no effect. While it creates the state of anything that deals damage deals, +2. So the cube is used, goes to spent, and then the question is, do we ramp 1, which doesn't seem really that good. Now, buying a second cube is the right play, I think. The other option there is to buy the 4th Jubilee. And and the giant bag reload begins. That feeling when you have just this bag of 20 dice and you shake them super duper loud. Very heavy. You're like, I'm never getting through this. So he pulls and rolls 2 True Believers and 2 sidekicks. Unfortunately, those True Believers don't get to target Yuan-Ti because Yuan-Ti is not on the field. She's still in the bag. They can target pseudo-dragons, but the pseudo-dragons don't become unblockable, sadly.
Let's go ahead and reroll this one.
And here, I'm not even really sure what you do. You just try to churn through your bag as quickly as possible if you're him. You try to reroll those sidekicks and land a shield and a sidekick to get 1 out of the bag and ramping 1. I don't even know if you want the True Believers or really want to buy anything. I mean, what do you buy at this point? Really not much. Buying a Kitty Pride, but you're not going to, because you have to go through the entire bag just to get to it. So he's using a True Believer.
Buy 1 pseudo dragon and 1 cube.
Ah, okay. So he's buying a True Believer. No, excuse me, buying a pseudo dragon and a cube. Trying to get through the bag, I guess. The pseudo dragon's a good buy. The cube doesn't churn because it's the cube that reduces purchase cost. You've already really bought all of your stuff. Oh, 2 cubes. Here we go. This could be a great turn. Unfortunately, we have 1 Jubilee on level 3. Oh, both cubes roll up, but we need 3 energy to spin all of our friends down here. All of our Jubilees. And obviously we need the most important piece, which is that With Great Power to roll up. If the With Great Power does not come up, then we've got issues. Because now our cubes go back through the bag. We do have a sidekick to field to maintain that ramp, though. So we will see them again next turn. Wow. Okay. So this looks really good because we're going to ramp forever, but it's actually really pretty terrible. Because what our goal was there was to land some energy on some of those. I don't even know why we would scoop those 2 dice. We want the energy, right? To pay to drop the level 3 down to a level 2 and drop 2 level 2s to a level 1, or 1 level 2 to a level 1.
Yep.
Or at least we want a bolt to triple the effect of a cube here. Not triple, but use the effect of a cube a 3rd time. So we have 3 cubes active, which is what we've done. We're going to field those 2 sidekicks and ramp everything out of our bag. And then use why did I forget? With great power, that's the name. Use the with great power to spin all of these up, and that's going to deal... What is that? That's just dead. No, because only 2 of them can spin up because we totally misplayed. So 2 will spin up, dealing 14 damage, but it doesn't even matter because we just push for lethal. If you block the top 4, which I think he had enough to block the top 4, you still get to push that rest of that damage. So the team pays off. It hits huge, and because of your big field that you have afterwards, you can just, push in for the final swing. So it's a lot of fun. This team is super fun to just put stuff around, try to put the pieces together and land some big damage. Certainly not the competitive version that I talked about in the combo video. That would be a much more streamlined, less clunky version, but this is certainly fun. So if you're looking for a fun combo team or a fun casual team that does deal some damage and makes use of the Cosmic Cube, because everybody loves Cosmic Cube. Nobody hates that card, right? Nobody thinks, I never want to see that card again. So if you're looking for something that uses Cosmic Cube, the rare, feel free to hop on this bandwagon. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll have some more out for you soon.